Today on Mr. Unappropriate, we shall wear our tinfoil hats and we shall lick some drain pipes, and we're going to get ready for some conspiracy action. Right? A rogue sociologist from South Belfast is moonlighting in conspiracies. Maybe sociology is a conspiracy. Anyway, this is the Primark conspiracy. Randomly, the Primark building burnt down and it was posted live on Facebook. Very tasteful. 2 hours you could see the building you'd watched and enjoyed throughout the whole of your life being burnt down live on Facebook. And Northern Ireland's full of stories and gossip. All of a sudden the conspiracy theories just flew out, right? Because this building had survived the Luftwaffe, it had survived the IRA bombs, right? It got blew up twice. But the guy who destroyed it was a guy who was fixing the roof. He had a blowtorch and he was doing something tarring on the roof. And he left the blowtorch unattended. You know the way you leave a blowtorch unattended. You know, it's not like you press the button and you're focusing, and then all of a sudden you see a bird across the street and you're like, whoa, God, she looks class. And you're like, oh, what are the odds? I've burnt down the whole... No. And just as one guy destroyed something had been there for like 250 years. So it was interesting hearing different people. I was asking different people about this, right? And some people were all like, think about the staff. What will they do now? And then some people was all like, because it was a Primark. And some people were all like, but where am I going to get my boxers from tomorrow? I need them for work that week. And then some people were like, it probably combusted out of just its own evil. If any place deserved to combust, it would be Primark. It was probably one of them slave labour children that grew up and somehow made his way over to Northern Ireland and set it on fire. So I call that's what they get for dealing in slave labour clothes. And then there were some people who were like, there was quite a bar behind it, or a nationalist bar behind it, and some people were like, no, Kelly Sellers, is the bar behind it safe? Right? And then there was a couple of posh people like myself who were all like, what a beautiful Victorian building. Protestant workmanship. At its best. Why can't everything be Georgian? Everything, is shit now. The one good building. But because there's the reason this seems like a conspiracy is because it was a protected building, which is a nightmare for the people that want to destroy buildings and put up some ghastly glass tar instead of them, right? Very practical. And all the craftsmen who made this building aren't alive anymore. No one's got the skills like that anymore. So it's like, to get it redone would be almost impossible. And it was like, so this Primark's, their extension, the building was fine. It wasn't needing renovation. No one needed to go near that building, but they had to get an extension. They had to build an extension onto it because they wanted more money. There wasn't enough child slave labour goods to be sold. They needed more, right? And building this extension is whenever your guy set it on fire. But I believe he set it on. So it stands like a burnt ash mark right in the centre of town. It's the metaphorical thing of this building. You don't realise you become to get used to buildings being there all your life. And you take them as part of the scenery. And everything's normal if all the buildings are still there. And I give people tour guides around the city centre, and all our old crumbly Georgian buildings are what people want to see. And I live in an old, Georgian built house. So, and I feel like an old Georgian building myself, crumbling away as the years go on. So this really struck me hard. This was one of my totem poles This was one of my Horcruxes, you know, in Harry Potter, that Voldemort, you need to destroy all his different Horcruxes. This was one of my Horcruxes. I was ready. I was like, I'm going to get them. I was like, they're going to knock down our beautiful building. I was like, well, I'm going for the City Hall. See how they like that. Wedding cake looking piece of, or crap. How about we burn down that? Or how about, you know what I mean? And the funny thing about it was that all these people, these companies, small companies, we were all had sympathy for them. But all these big companies were trying to get us to have sympathy for them. Like the McDonald's across the road, which is good for fighting on a Saturday night, and it's a local hangout of madmen, right? It needs to have bouncers. They were saying, no, we'll lose 2 months of profit. As if people really give a fuck about a franchise. And all of these big businesses being all like, no, the Big Macs will be fire damaged. And you're like, no one gives a fuck about that. And I loved it. The fact no one gave a fuck about McDonald's. Indeed. Do you know what I mean? Just use the soaring profits you've had for the last 30 years to tide yourself over. And now they don't know is it going to be rebuilt or what's going to happen to it. It stands like a big scar on the face of our city centre. If they were going to pay off the adjudicators to see if it was safe or not, you would just throw them 200 grand and then they would say it's not safe, it has to come down. And that's how you would do it, that's how you'd get rid of it. This week's phone in is you have to guess how many awkward, failed modern art projects there are on Irish motorways. Is there 226? Is there 322? Or is there 427? And the winner gets to design their own very strange art project, and we'll give you a failed, some random shiny steel, but you have to give at least a page of explanation about what it is and why it stops the troubles. And that night I had 5 different rants of different people, and I have one person that's all like, we're gonna get the torches lit and we're gonna go to somewhere, I don't know, the Parliament, but our Parliament's out of session at the moment, we're gonna go somewhere, fucking goddamn it. And then you'd have some people be like, no, there's obviously a good reason for this, and it's an accident, calm down everyone. And it's interesting, people who use their intellect to think about Karen, think about thoughts, and people who have a gut feeling, and they're like, I don't really know, but I just feel like I just have this feeling that it's just the way everything's going. Once everything looks like shit, you feel shit. It's just like everything else in this goddamn town. You know what I mean? I kept on getting talked out of it, found other conspiracy people. It was really interesting, all the different, houses you'd go, because it was like the big talk of the moment. And I have a friend, and he worked on a boat, and we were watching a film, and the boat went down. It was like, so I don't know what kind of film it was. It wasn't the Titanic, nothing that cheesy, but this boat went down, and he started crying. And I was like, what are you on about? And he's all like, well, that boat represents safety to me. And to see a fine vessel like that slowly go down is like, hurts me on an inner core level. And I think because I live in a big building that's prone to fire, that hurts me. That building being down hurts me on a core level. And now people are saying that they can get it rebuilt, going to analyse the bricks or something, but they're not sure. And then they're like, oh, we're going to get cranes and all this shit. I don't really know. The jury's still out, but we'll see. Some people worship trees, hug trees. I think I'm slowly beginning to turn into a building hugger. I think I almost worship these buildings. It was from a really old time when things were made right and well. Have no pebble dash walling, and do you know what I mean? It was made from a time people took respect and pride in the job they done. There was no cheap Chinese goods. It's something about that. It represents, something that's slowly escaping from this world. So I think I'm beginning to almost worship the buildings themselves, because they represent human achievement. There was a fire in Primark. The whole place was burnt down, and there's reports in that over £100 worth of goods were destroyed. The thing took off on fire so fast. See them fake Chinese 22% polyester goods? They burn so the smell, you could smell it for miles around, and I have to say they burnt better than they ever looked. Half the stuff. And this was a place that I had applied to work in during the height of the recession, and like there was over like 1,000 other people that applied to work there, and I got to the second round. What a privilege! It's like The Apprentice or something. There was like 5 different rounds, and then at the end they'd make you race in the car park. Who really wants a fiver? They make you race for it. But it was during the height of the recession. There was no jobs. Right in the centre of town, everyone when they were in Primark saw the wee application form. They're like, "Well, I'll bring that for Jimmy. He needs a job." So that's what it was. Maybe some days I will be qualified to sell their cheap goods, but I think after this they might not want to ever employ me. But it's all right because I was never going to be employed there anyway. It was a sociologist's wet dream, Primark. Just going inside it and just looking around at all the wildlife, furiously charging to get on sale items with their pram, whacking it into people's legs. You know what I mean? And just looking at the people who went in, it was always cramped. No one was that excited to be there. No one was over the moon to get modestly priced goods, but everyone was sort of passionate about climbing a path through and getting their goods. No, they wanted to get out as fast as possible, so everyone went in there with a goal. No one's excited about buying boxers, so everyone went in there with a goal. And the idea was to get to the till and get out as fast as possible. But when everyone has that thing, it means everyone's given up on social order and just a rugby scrum to try and get out of this overlit, badly top 40 music polystyrene nightmare. And as I swim out to sea like Lieutenant Dan, I reach the final shore of the end of the show. Well, that was the end of Mr. Inappropriate. I hope you liked it. There'll be no part 2 of this one. I believe I have covered the matter in food. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you like it, share us on the noodle sites.